Welcome to the Bullpen Show. I'm your host, Austin Alexander. We've got a ton of information to get to with a couple of very special guests. Before we get there, I want to make sure I make mention all the information from the Palmetto Games in Sumter a couple of weeks ago. All that information is on thediamondprospects.com. If you check out our social media, both on Twitter, X, and Instagram, boy, we had a lot that we were able to spit out coming from those 2 days. Great weekend of baseball. A lot of folks were there. A lot of talent was there. And if you missed anything, even the live streams, all that is on our social media and YouTube channel. Check that out. We also have the South Atlantic Border Battle, which is right around the corner. That invite list is also listed on the website. And then, of course, it's fall league baseball time across the state. We've got around 175 different teams in our 4 different leagues, and that'll be cranking up real soon next week in Rock Hill and then in the other 3 areas right after Labor Day. So we'll get all that information. That's going to be a big portion of what we talk about over the course of the fall. But today, as school resumes, we want to bring in a group of guys, a couple of guys that I've gotten to know really, really well here in the last bit. And you need to hear from these folks. They've got some very good information about something you need to know about. I've been informed a ton, and it was so much so that I want to make sure we got them on the podcast to inform you too. So I'll bring in those two at this point. John Parke and Will Baumhofer, they are co-founders of The Collection. It is a supplement company they're going to explain a whole lot more about. John Parke both of these guys played at Greenville High School. John was a left-handed pitcher at USC, also pitched 6 years in pro ball all the way up to AAA, and now he's back working with players, but also working with the supplement company. And Will Baumhofer was an infielder at Greenville College of Charleston, and those guys are teaming up together now, and they're going to tell you a ton of stuff. I found it very interesting, and I think you will too. So I want to welcome those guys in first. John and Will, how are you guys doing today?
Man, everything's good. Thank you for having us. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, this is exciting. We appreciate you giving us the opportunity to kind of tell you all everything that's going on our end. And we're hoping that, we walk out of this and reach some people that we can eventually help. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get going.
That is definitely the goal. So let's rock and roll, man. Tell us a little bit about what is The Collection. All right, it's a supplement company. There are a lot of supplements out there. A lot of people trying to sell supplements. Baseball players are always and all athletes for that matter, are looking for edges and legal ways that they can do things to make themselves better and better on their athletic fields. Tell us what The Collection is. What is it, guys? John, tell me what we got.
Yeah, I think first, it is, yes, a supplementation company, but we say first we're an education company. Kind of the mindset behind The Collection was exactly what you said, which is, players are always looking for an edge, but you have to do the edge the right way. And so we took the mindset of kind of the reverse engineering of the supplement market now, which is we think that these companies are using bigger and fancier terms and lingo. And it's becoming ridiculous to understand. You have to Google every ingredient or in a new patented formula or whatever it is just to learn what it is. So we actually took the approach of going the opposite way, which is, hey, let's educate first. Like there is so much more to supplementation than just like taking some supplements in the morning. Some you have to take it with food, some you should take it without food, some don't mix well. So The Collection is designed to be an education first company where we have a platform that you can go in there and type in your daily routine and like what you're trying to do, what are your goals, and our platform that we've guardrailed like through AI will spit out exactly when and what you should take things with. So I think at first we're an education company, and then secondly we're a supplementation company looking to help as many people as we possibly can.
If you can, and Will, maybe you can shed some light on this as well. Give us a history lesson on where this all came from. Where did the idea come from? How did you guys get involved?
So John and I, we've known about this company that white labels these supplements. It's called Earth's Creations. They're a manufacturer, and our boss, Patrick Gardner, has known the guy that runs Earth Creations for, John, what is it, 20 some odd years?
About 15 years, yeah.
15 years, something like that. And they have these amazing supplements, but nobody really knows about them. And so, like John was saying, I also work with guys now on the hitting side. John's on the pitching side, obviously. But we would get asked all the time. We'd say, hey, what should my kid be doing better or be doing on the side to kind of give them that edge? Because like you were saying, Austin, every athlete, every baseball player is looking for an edge to get to that next level and then keep growing in their game, keep growing physically. And these kids would be coming up to us and say, hey, I'm taking creatine. Is that enough? We're like, well, how are you doing it? What does it do for you? Like, why are you doing it? And none of these kids had an answer. And John has a good little story on that. And that's kind of how our idea for The Collection budded, to say, hey, we know that there's a demand for these supplements. People want to be taking supplements. People should be taking these supplements. They don't know how or why or what's in them, but they just think that hey, I'm going to be doing this. And so that's kind of how this idea kind of formed. And then once we started rolling with it, we were like, okay, we have access to these amazing all natural supplements that really do work. How are we going to get this to people? And that's kind of where the education aspect kind of came in.
What would you add to that, John?
Yeah, I would say, Patrick and I have been working together for about 2.5 years now. And by the way, anybody out there who has not had the privilege of meeting him, he's about 6'8" and cut up like Ron Gronkowski. So if you see him at a game, his son plays over at JL Man, but you should definitely stop and talk to him and pick his brain. He's a super smart guy, very outgoing. He's known this guy for about 15 years now. And finally, Patrick and I had known we were going to do something with this at some point. And I think when Will got done playing and, we could hire some help, and Will's been unbelievable with us, but that's when we decided to click go on it. And like I said, we took our time with it. We knew this is going to be a really good one. We knew this was a great opportunity for us. And once we dove into the weeds of like, how do we want this to look? The answer was simplicity. One of the stories that I tell everybody about the collection is I had a father who, his son I help on the pitching side, come to me after one of our little sessions, and he said, look, I know that he should be doing something supplementation wise, but I don't know anything about it, and I don't trust the guy at GNC, and I don't trust ChatGPT. What do I do? And that's a great question. I immediately called Patrick and I was like, I think the answer is simplicity. I think we have to explain to them what these are and how they work and what they're going to do on the field with them. And then let's go a step farther and say he's 100% right. Everyone's heard of creatine. Well, what is creatine? What's in creatine? And what does it do for you? How should I take it? And how is it going to help me? And that's kind of the idea of the collection was, let's just take this idea of supplementation, dumb it down to that level, and then explain it to them so they can make their best educated choice.
All right, along those lines, if you could tell us a little bit about some of the supplements that you guys do, the different aspects of a person's life, who should be using it, how they should be using it. Give us an idea of the different things that you guys do have.
For sure. So in a world in the United States of America where it's like 98.9% of people, so let's call it everybody, should be taking something. We're deficient in something in our body, right? So only 25 to 35% of Americans do take something. So you ask why, right? Well, is it expensive? Is it, I don't know? Is it intimidation? It's probably a combination of the three, right? And so what we did was we have 22 products. Now, some of them you've heard of, some of them you've never heard of. So something as simple as creatine or a multivitamin or some sleep stuff, down to 4 patented ingredients here in the United States of America that nobody else has access to. So everyone, every time I tell somebody about, oh, you're starting a supplement company, it's like, well, what? There's 10,000 of those. I'm like, yeah, but they don't have the 4 things that we have. So like, for example, one of them, which I think is going to be a great product, especially with, a partner like Diamond Prospects in this, is it's called a muscle builder complex with a patented ingredient called Optinos. Optinos is something that it holds protein in the body better, allowing your body to recover a lot quicker and lift a lot heavier. And again, like the studies on it are just insane. Like a double-blind placebo, had kids 6 weeks later bench pressing 45 more pounds, leg pressing 76 more pounds. And it's like, how did they gain that much more muscle? Well, you ask yourself, did they gain more muscle or did they allow their bodies to do more to gain more muscle? And so it's things like that where it's like you have to explain it to the person for them to get it. But those 4 patented ingredients are really interesting. But to answer your question about who should be taking something, the answer is everybody should be taking something. And I highly advise people to get blood work done. I highly advise people to talk to people that are in the supplementation world that are educated about it. But really, really everyone, and we have a product that can help pretty much anybody.
Yeah, and like going off of what John was saying, Austin, I know we talked to you a little bit about this when we kind of had the idea of partnering with Diamond Prospects, and I know that you're a customer of the collection now. We've sent you some products that you've at least told me that has some good feedback, and it's not just for athletes. Like obviously, the Muscle Builder Complex. If I was coming up, for those of you who don't know me, I'm not the tallest person in the world, so I had to set myself, apart from everybody by getting after it in the weight room. And so, building muscle was hard for me coming up in high school. And if I had something like this Muscle Builder Complex, I think that would have made things a little bit easier for me. And I think that's what a lot of athletes can use. But, Austin, we talked to you about, and I'll go into a little bit of the other 3 patented ingredients, the Curculife, big one. That's for everyone. It's a patented turmeric and curcumin extract that is just way more bioavailable to your body, and by bioavailable I mean it absorbs better in your body. It's joint relief. It's taking pressure off of your bones. It just helps you recover and move better. The other one that we have is called a Baco Zest, and it is a plant derivative from a plant called Bacopa. And normally, if you taste it, you'd spit it out and feel like you're about to throw up because it's bitter and it's nasty. But we have figured out a way to make it not be bitter, and that is for cognitive health. That is for brain health. That really helps you stay focused and locked in and gets rid of that brain fog that you feel in the morning all the time. And also, and I'm sure you feel it with the busy schedule of Diamond prospects. I feel it. I take Baco Zest. It's awesome. And it's really good for kids with ADHD as well. I know that Adderall is very much overprescribed now, and we've kind of sampled this out to some people and some parents who have younger kids that suffer from ADHD, and they all say, "Hey, this is great. If I can give my kids something that's coming from a plant and not a prescription drug, that's amazing." And the results speak for themselves. And then the last one is called Maxinos. That is for cardiovascular health and nitric oxide, blood flow, recovery, that kind of thing. Not only for athletes, but it's actually been clinically proven to be extremely beneficial for women and reproductive health as well. So we have a little bit of everything for everyone. We're not just pigeonholing ourselves into strictly an athlete kind of supplement brand. Our goal, like John was saying, is to help as many people as we can. And John and I and Patrick, we all thoroughly believe that we have the ability and the supplements with the results to show that can help all.
And I can attest to the products that you just now mentioned, both of you guys talked about. I appreciate you guys coming down a few months ago and exposing me to it, educating me on it. Now all four of us in my family, both of my sons who play, my wife and I use two, it's part of my morning routine. I don't get started with anything without the Curricu Life and the memory focus. Boy, I hope I could focus through all of this. I've taken extra pills so that I could lock in on what we're talking about here. Because life does get crazy, a day gets crazy, and it sure does help when you lock in on what you're dealing with. And I've seen a dramatic shift in how I feel and how I think just by virtue of these supplements that I've been able to take. So not only am I a supporter and endorser of you guys' product, I am a user, and very proud to say that. And my wife, I can speak for my two boys. It's part of their morning routine, daily routine. And of course, the boys are using some of the other things that you guys have as well to help with their workouts and help them get through a day or a season, etc. So I want to talk very familiar with, but it was the way you guys described the use of and the importance of the use of, not just taking it, getting, checking that box over the course of 24 hours, but when you actually take it is important. And that's important with some of these other supplements too. If you guys could kind of talk people through the importance of that, not just digesting it, but when you do and what you do around when you digest the supplements.
Cannot wait for you to see some of the footage we got down there at Palmetto games. For those of you out there that were seeing Will and I walk around during the games, it was great to talk to some of these kids about it. But one of the ones that came up was creatine, and some kids were like, "Yeah, I'm on creatine." I'm like, "That's awesome. Well, when do you take it?" He's like, I here and there." And I'm like, "Okay. What does creatine do?" "Well, it helps you build muscle." "Okay, that's cool. And then what else with it?" "Well, I don't really know." Perfect. All three of those are wrong. So like number one is, creatine's one of those 24-hour is kind of its cycle, right? The goal is to keep it in the body as long as possible. It's produced naturally within our body. Some would say that it's just shy of optimal. So what we're trying to do is just boost those creatine levels to optimal, somewhere between 5 and 10 milligrams a day. So, or 5 or 10 grams a day, sorry. But it's on a 24-hour cycle. So in a perfect world, you've heard, oh, you got to take creatine before you lift, and you got to drink a gallon of water, or you got to take creatine after you lift, and you got to drink a gallon of water. Well, it's like, well, that'd be ideal if we lifted every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I can take my creatine at 7:30 in the morning. But as you've seen with Banks and Nolan and everybody else, like schedules are insane. Sometimes you lift at 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes you lift at 6 p.m. Creatine has a cycle of 24 hours. The goal is to nail the 24-hour mark. Take it at the same time every day. The body is going to hold on to it as long as it's in there. Now, if it's not in there, it's going to get rid of it and get rid of it quick. So I think that was one of the big things these kids learned was like, hey, I lift sometimes at 6 and sometimes at 6 p.m. Well, doesn't matter. Take it every day at 7:30 in the morning. Creatine, everyone's like, oh, it builds muscle. Well, it allows you to build muscle. I wouldn't say it has a direct correlation to building muscle. It's probably one of the most clinical studied supplements out there. There's no direct correlation to building muscle. It's holding water retention so your muscles can recover quicker to potentially build more muscle. A lot of things in the last 2 years, like I've told you and Banks, was come out with cognitive health, brain health. Huge in brain health, as long as you're staying on that 24-hour mark. But creatine's fascinating. I think everyone should be on it, no matter who you are, man, woman, girl, athlete, boy, like doesn't matter. Like you should be on some sort of dose of creatine per day.
Yeah, and I mean
Go ahead.
Like John was saying, the big thing, the big hole that we found in the supplementation market is that kind of timing and absorption, when to take it, how to take it, what to take it with. Because I mean, going through college and playing as much baseball as I did, and all these guys that are going to be tuning into this, how much of a toll it takes on your body playing a full season, playing a full summer season, playing a full off season. I mean, it's nonstop. It really is nonstop now. Whether you're in high school or college, you're always playing. You're always putting stress on your body. And so schedules get hectic. I mean, it's super inconsistent, especially with travel and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of supplement companies will say, "Hey, take 3 capsules in the morning, whatever." Cool. Well, are those fat soluble vitamins? Are they water soluble vitamins? How am I going to be able to get the maximum, result out of what I'm taking? And that's kind of what we're really leaning heavily on the education side. Is every single one of the supplements that we're rolling out with is going to have pretty much a guide for you, what on the bottle and on our website. So that says, hey, boom, here's the dosage, here's when you should take it during the day, and here's what you should take it with. If I'm taking something that is a fat soluble vitamin or supplement, say, hey, take one in the morning with breakfast with some sort of fatty substance. Examples might be some eggs, avocado oil, avocado, something like that. We just want to make sure that people are getting the most out of what they're taking, because supplements, and as a market in general, it's not super cheap, and a lot of supplement companies will oversell you on what the benefits really are. A lot of supplements are great supplements. How you take it is going to determine what the results are and what you get out of it. And so that's something that John and I have really dove into. We've gotten a lot of expert opinion. A lot of people have looked at this to make sure that we're not giving our customers information that is not going to benefit them the most. Like John was saying, we want to help as many kids, parents, brothers, sisters that we can, because so many people are lacking certain things that they need, or just simply don't know how to take products that could be benefiting them a lot more than what they're already seeing.
I'd like to hear you guys talk a little bit more. You've talked about when you should take it, maybe over the course of a day, but over the course of 365 days, obviously there are a lot of those days where guys are on the field or they're training to be on the field. There's in season, there's out of season, there's the peak part of the season, there's the playoffs, there's sometimes the ebb and flow of days that are more important than others. But at the same time, obviously they want to continue to work and train and so forth. If you guys kind of could talk a little bit about I guess the time of year and in season versus out of season with some of the supplements you guys have.
That's a great question. So what we did was, there are people way smarter than us out there. And so what I did was we went and found them. And so we found a guy out in Texas. He's brilliant. His nickname with us is Elon. He helped us develop our education platform. Our AI is essentially what it is. It looks like a chat GPT kind of thing, but it's not at all. It's completely guardrailed by what we want to put in there. So all of our information is within this AI, and that's it. There's how many clinical studies, Will? A 70 something?
Yeah, so I can kind of speak to the information that has been put into this. I've been working heavily with our developer the past, wow, John, what is it, 8 months now?
8 months, yeah.
Building out this AI to make sure that, it is spewing out information that we trust, we've vetted, we've verified. It has a total of 72 different clinical studies that are all verified off of PubMed and different sources on there. So all the information that we're pulling is legit. It's not just a Google search. It's clinical documents that we've been provided by our manufacturer on the sourcing of the products, the reliability of the products, the efficacy, the safety of the products. And then, we've talked to people that we know, from our world in baseball. We've talked to doctors, we've talked to trainers, we've talked to different people like that. So it's not just a supplement source. Is actually a routine builder. So if you can go in there and say, hey, my name is Will Baumhofer. I'm 21 years old. I'm a junior outfielder at the College of Charleston. Here's what my day looks like out of season. Here's what it looks like during the summer. And here's what it looks like in season. I have X, Y, and Z goals. What should I be doing and how? It'll go through all the sources and all the information that we've given it, and it will tailor something specific to you. The cool part about it is it'll track all your information after you make a profile. So if you want to tweak something or something's not working or your schedule changes, it'll be able to help you audible to something else that could be potentially more beneficial for you on the fly. So that's kind of how we went about making sure that we can manage the ever-changing schedules that we have, not only as athletes, but as parents, as students, as family members in general, to take kind of the stress off of you and the not knowing, hey, should I be taking this even when I'm in the off season or even when I'm playing or on a game day? Hey, if I miss a dose today, should I double up and take it later? Like, answer that's obviously no. But you get my point. There's so much uncertainty that comes with supplementation, and we've built a tool to help you navigate those kind of.
Yep, and that kind of is that's the overarching answer. There is, the routine builder will help you with that. I mean, you could have a perfect routine dialed in for the summer, but you got a week-long tournament in Florida next week. Okay, well, we play at 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and the next day we play at noon and 7. The next day we play at 9 p.m. It's like, well, when do I take what? Well, perfect. Get on the routine builder. Tell it exactly that. Look, I'm in the summer program. However, we have a week-long tournament this week, and I don't know when to take what. How do I maintain the balance of this? Boom. It'll spit out exactly throughout your day when, why, and how to take something.
That's fantastic stuff. As you guys know, a lot of people are listening to this right now. Where can people find that information?
Yeah, so we are launching here in about 2.5 weeks officially. Just after September, we're hoping September 5th is that first day. We will have it out through Diamond Prospects. We will have it out through a couple of partners that we have, including Ian Jenkins. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there follow and know who Ian Jenkins is. One of the best hitting coaches in the country, in my mind. He's going to be putting this out there for us. But it is the collectionbrand.com is what it's under. It'll be massively available come early September.
Very good. Now, I alluded to at the very beginning, you guys obviously played the game, and not that long ago, you guys were on the field and very successful in your own right. But before that, before you did it at the college level, and John, in your case, the professional level, you guys were high school players, like a lot of the kids that are listening to this right now, or the parents of high school kids. You played in Diamond Prospects events, you played in the Palmetto games, you played in fall leagues. Tell us and tell them why you wanted to target Diamond Prospects. Go back, I guess, to your experience coming up through our events. Obviously, whether it be, Little League all the way into high school ball. Why DP is a good fit for you guys as a partner?
I think the answer is easy, and I think it's so simple. Because you care. You being the founder, you are truly a great individual that cares about people. Not only kids, not only parents, but like you want to make the world a better place doing baseball in this state. And I remember one of the first lines you said when we met with you down in Columbia was, John, I just want to make South Carolina baseball a great baseball state. And like that kind of hit home of like, you can tell when people are being serious about something and kind of giving you the riffraff, and you truly have a heart to make people in the best situations possible. I mean, just before this, you were talking about, Palmetto games and recruiting, and it's like, it just matters to you. And so as a company, we're not chasing anything besides education and helping people. So I think the partnership was a perfect idea for us, and not to mention like high school world, especially recruiting these days with the way it is and how hard it is on these high school kids. I would love for my state to be known as one of the best states of high school recruiting. And it's like, if we can help 1% of kids, that's 1% is good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, Austin, kind of going off that, I mean, what y'all do for so many kids in this state is awesome. And I was one of those kids not too long ago. I went to y'all's events. I played in the Palmetto games. I played in the fall All-Star game at Clemson after the DP Fall League, all those things. I did the showcases, the pro days. And, I remember me and John were talking about it like, yeah, Austin stuck his neck out for the both of us when we were coming up and through it. He would write those reviews on us. He would gas us up even if we had a bad outing, like all those things. Diamond Prospects is so cool, and it holds a special place in my heart because it connected me to a lot of really important people in my life. Not only did it give me an opportunity to showcase what I could do on the baseball field, but it introduced me to people that really helped me get to the next level and play at the College of Charleston. A shout out Dale Nelson, I'm pretty sure everyone that's watching this knows good old Dale. I met Dale through Diamond Prospects, and he was a key person that helped me get to the College of Charleston. I ended up playing on the Diamond Devils black team with Dale as one of my coaches. He stuck his neck out for me more times than I could count, and I wholeheartedly believe I wouldn't have played at College of Charleston without the help of you, Austin, and Dale. And so, like John was saying, if we can just give back and help out an organization that did so much for both John and I, and help a bunch of kids that have the same goals and ambitions that John and I did not too long ago, I think it's just a perfect opportunity for us to partner with Diamond Prospects and kind of get this out there to as many of these guys in the state as we possibly can.
You guys were at the Palmetto games and spoke to one of the groups, and you guys are moving around, kind of talking to a lot of different players. We actually addressed the group that third session. John, take us a little bit inside that huddle. What you guys have to say to those boys?
Yeah, the first thing I led off with was you have no idea what you're about to walk into. You have no idea the power of this event, and I'm a personal contestant to that. And I kind of took them through what they're walking into, and then as soon as we broke the huddle, I would start talking to them and said, look, you're about to walk in one of the biggest games of your life if you're uncommitted. What did you do before this? And one of the answers was, I ate fried chicken. And it's like, good. And my next question was, what kind of supplementation we working with? We got some electrolytes, it's 100 degrees out here. And he said, yeah, some mac and cheese. And I was like, yep, biggest game of your life. Why put something that could help you in your body when I could eat fried chicken and mac and cheese? But inside the huddle was great. I mean, the guys were ready. They put on a great show. I thought that third game was great. Bunch of coaches there. A lot of commitments came out of there, including one of my own, little Quinn Walsh to Citadel, his dream school, which was awesome. He threw well. A couple other guys, but yeah, it was great to see them getting ready to go.
You mentioned some of the players you guys do work with, John, you pitchers, and Will, you with position players and hitters. John, I know one guy who's a marquee name that just went off the draft board pretty high. Carson Bowman's a name people know. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with him, some of the fingerprints you're able to put on Carson, but also how his use of the collection and different things that he uses that you guys have with these supplements.
So I have been looking forward to draft day for about 8 years now to get Carson out of my world and out. He's a headache and a half, and he's awful. And look at this. He's texting me right now at 7 o'clock in the morning, 4 text messages about his bullpen yesterday. I literally can't get him out of my life. But I call Carson my first child. I've known him since he was 11 or 12. We got introduced, and I knew something was special right away. It was a great relationship. It still is, obviously, and it's grown from teacher student to friend to friend. Carson's now one of my best friends. Like I said, I got him when I was 12. He was obviously very talented, and I was kind of just getting into the off-season lesson thing because I was kind of bored. And what else do you do as a minor leaguer in the off-season? And I didn't really know what to do. Austin, it's kind of funny. Everyone's like, how did you know what to do? I'm like, I literally just built myself. And Carson and I had this video overlay of when he was like 12 and me pitching, and it overlays, and like the mechanics are just like identical. And, I tell people all the time, I got lucky because like I literally just built myself. So yeah, I mean, I've been with Carson for, what is that, almost 8 years now, and seeing him come off the draft board and dealing with that and being on the phone and being with war rooms and texting me and all the things during draft day was electric. It was stressful. And then to get the text a couple picks before he was going was one of those moments where I just won't ever forget of like, I was sitting there with my dad and my mom, and Will was right behind me, and Olivia was on my right, and I got the text that he was going 29th from a war room, and I won't say where, and you just kind of see me just fall back like, God, it's finally done. He's gone. Get out of here. Like, I've been sick of it. But it was awesome. It was a great process. I mean, the last 3 months, me, Britt, his dad, and Brittany wanted to pull our own hair out, but it was most relieving to see, and it was awesome. But if he would quit texting me at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, that'd be great.
Well, Carson, you can text us. We'll pick up and we'll get back to you if you're listening to this somewhere. Now, not everybody you guys work with are household names. Will, you work with some younger guys. Mm-hmm. Talk through maybe a handful of kids that you work with, but also how you implement, and what is for folks that are listening to this too. What age is too young? Or is there an age that's too young? Talk to us a little bit about the ages of the kids that you might work with and how they can use the collection as well.
Yeah, so I'm obviously not as far out of the game as old man John is over there. I finished up 2 years about 2 years ago now. I started doing hitting lessons last year, and I work with some of the younger guys that are coming up in the ranks and that are hopefully, and I think they will be, some pretty well-known household names here in the next few years. Beckett DeSario is a stud. He's an 8th grader at Southside Christian. He batted cleanup for him as a 7th grader last year. Big physical kid, team elite guy. Sawyer Bowman, younger brother of Carson Bowman. He's going to be a guy to look out for. Grayson Manos, Henry Perry. A lot of 8th graders and freshmen that I'm hitting with are these big physical dudes that are kind of coming into it and are seeing great results and are going to be really good players, and hopefully get some more eyes on the state of South Carolina and the type of talent that we can churn out. But going to your question about, what is too young for supplementation? It kind of depends on what you're looking for, in my opinion. And John can go off of what I'm about to say here if he has anything. But, like what we're talking about with creatine, I have 7th and 8th graders that I hit with that are taking creatine, and it's great. And I've had conversations with them about, how and when to take it, and they've been seeing a lot better results. When we start talking about, the pre-workouts and all that stuff, that's where it gets a little bit more different for caffeine intake in younger guys and everything. But like we were talking about with the Baco Zest, Austin, I know we gave you one that we're rolling out called Elite Focus. And that's a little bit geared more towards adults. It's a little bit of a higher dose. And we also have one that's called Focus Fuel, and that is geared towards kids, 6 to 13-year-olds who need help, focusing in the classroom, doing their schoolwork, not bouncing off the walls when they get home after a long day of school, that kind of thing. But, I think there's something for everybody of all ages. I don't necessarily think that there's an age that's too young. Obviously, you don't want to give a newborn child any type of supplementation. But I do think that there's something for all ages of kids and all ages of life. And that's kind of what our goal is here, is to educate people, especially parents that have kids, between the ages of, 5 and 15. I know that when I started getting real serious into baseball and training around the age of, 13 or 14, I was taking stuff that, my mom had no idea what it was. She was just like, yeah, sure, here, go take it. Shout out Lisa, she's awesome. But she didn't know what necessarily what I was taking. She just trusted that it was good. But we want to educate parents as to, what your kids should be taking at what age. And I've had those talks with some of the parents of the kids that I hit with. I've had those talks with some of the kids that I hit with. And there's certain things that certain guys should be taking, and there's certain things that certain guys don't need to be taking. And it's kind of figuring out that fine line and educating yourself as to what does what and what do I need to put into my body to make myself better on the field and off the field.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on one thing with that also. I think this is important for everybody to listen to and hear. If there's one story that I can tell about the collection, it would be this. We've been working with a guy out in Texas, super successful, super nice guy, incredible guy. He's gotten involved with the collection because of his personal story. He had a son named, we'll probably won't say the name, but he has a son out in Texas he was a super good athlete. He was in the 100th percentile of growth, 100th percentile of weight, all the way up until he was 12, 12 and a half, 13 years old. He was that kid that was just bigger and better than everyone. And all of a sudden at 13, he just stopped growing, fell to the 20th percentile. And his parents did everything they could, took him to get this and blood work. And they tried this prescription and this and this and that. And the kid wouldn't grow again. So the parents finally looked into natural supplementation. The kid is in the 120th percentile of height now. He's in the 120th percentile of growth. He just put an Instagram video up I saw. He's a beast in the weight room. He's 14 now, and he's back on track. And they tried all the prescriptions, all the things they could in the world, but the answer to them was natural supplementation because the body was simply just lacking something. And they found what it was. They hit it naturally, and he's back in the 20th percentile. So to answer your question, like Will said, there's not really an age where it's like, oh, we can start supplements now. We're 12. Every case is different, but like, it's a great question for our platform. It's a great question to us, but it just kind of varies from individual to individual.
We've covered a lot of ground here. You guys have really educated us on everything from A to Z, what the collection is and the importance of it. Before we wind down, or as we wind down, what are some other things maybe we didn't cover that you want people to know?
I have mine. Will, you got anything?
I'll let you go ahead.
I'd love to tell my Palmetto Games story just so people understand the power of diamond prospects in the Palmetto Games, which is I was a junior and I was not very good. And Austin, I still think you owed somebody a favor, and you did that favor for me. And I was lucky enough that someone called you and you owed them a favor, and I got into the Palmetto Games my senior year. I should not have been invited. I was a lefty unknown, and I was like 83, 85. So I go to Palmetto Games expecting to throw one inning, and I got listed at one inning. Went out, and I was like 86, 88. Hardest I ever thrown that day. I went 3 up, 3 down my first inning, and I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. Well, it was against, I can tell you the 3 hitters, Corey Cremonese, Nick Schufo, and one other one. First rounder, college Charleston player, and a guy that ended up playing at Chapel Hill later in his career. And I walk into the dugout of South Carolina, and Barry Mabry, who, God love him, like still close relationship to this day, came in. I didn't know who he was. And he puts his arm around me and he goes, where do you want to go? And I was like, what do you mean, where do I want to go? And he's like, where do you want to go? And I said 3 schools. I had no idea. Clemson, South Carolina, and Alabama. And he was like, okay. And he walked away and he goes, by the way, you're going to go back out for one more inning. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you got one more. So I walked back out, went 3 up, 3 down again. And I came in and Barry came over and he just started laughing. He goes, don't check your phone yet. Take a deep breath and call me later. And of course, naturally, what does any 17-year-old kid do? Immediately checks his phone. And I think I had like 42 missed phone calls, like 58 something text messages from schools, from Alabama to South Carolina to Clemson to College Charleston to Wofford to you name it, and got overwhelmed. Called Barry that night. I think Barry called you, and we kind of took our time through my recruiting process, but it was just an awesome experience of like Barry just being there for me, you being there for me. But these guys should understand that really is the power of that game when you put on an event like that where you have so many college coaches in one area. one outing can change your life. And it went from me saying, oh, I've got about 8 months of baseball left in me, to, wow, I can do this thing. I can legitimately do this thing. So just that little bump of the games really, I mean, seriously, that day in August changed my life forever.
Great story. Will, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, along similar lines, I went to the pro day event down in Columbia, and I was uncommitted pretty late in my baseball career. I committed senior year. I'm like,
Must have been a slow year. Slow year for the pro day circuit.
thanks, man. Thanks. But no, I went to pro day down in Columbia, and for those of you who've been to pro day or know about pro day, I'm sure everybody knows about pro day. That is kind of the event to be at. A ton of scouts, a ton of college coaches. It's really cool. Kind of intimidating, kind of nerve wracking, but really cool. And I went down there. I had a great day, a good game, everything. And I circled back to Dale. I'll just kind of paint you a picture of the kind of guy he is. He came up to me after the game, and he was like, all right, be realistic with me. Like, what are you thinking here? And I was like, dude, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll go to College Charleston. I'll go to, Charleston Southern, really anywhere, Wofford. And he was like, okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Get back in my car. I'm 30 minutes back up the road, driving back up to Greenville. Dale calls me again. He goes, hey, man, keep your phone on you. You should be getting a call here in the next, 20 to 30 minutes. Sure enough, another 20 minutes down the road, phone starts ringing, pick it up, answer the phone, say, hello, who is this? He goes, hey, this is Coach Chad Holbrook at the College Charleston. Will, how are you doing? 2 days later, I was in Charleston on a visit. The day after that, I was committed to College Charleston. So just to kind of attest to what John was saying, these events, yes, they're cool. Yes, they're fun to be at. It's hype. It's awesome to be invited to one of these things. It's cool to see the write-ups, but I don't think that, the people watching this really understand, the gravity of these events. Like, don't think of it as just a game or a showcase. Like, it really is a life-changing opportunity. It changed my life. Like John was saying, I thought that I was going to have a great senior year in high school and then maybe go try and walk on somewhere, maybe go to a JUCO and see how that goes, whatever. But, a singular pro day kind of changed my trajectory of my career. And I was fortunate enough to have a great career at the College of Charleston, meet a bunch of friends, awesome coaching staff. And, I really attribute a lot of that to what you and Diamond Prospects as a whole does for guys like me and John. I don't think that I would have had that opportunity if I wasn't given the opportunity to come and perform at some of those Diamond Prospect events. So just for the people listening, it really is potential to be life-changing stuff.
Those are outstanding stories. I really enjoy hearing both of them. I love hearing success stories like those. Full disclaimer to those that are still listening to us 40 minutes in. Just by virtue of coming to one of our events doesn't mean magic is gonna happen. You do have to be able to play a little bit. But that just goes to show you that, and I always tell folks this all the time, we don't promise you that those types of opportunities are gonna happen for you after you perform. You have to be able to play a little bit, but what we can promise you is the opportunity to get in front of folks, and we do provide the stage for players to come out and be who they are and sell themselves. So and that's why we do it. And you mentioned it early, John, and we've talked about it enough. I mean, our goal obviously is to really pinpoint one sport in one state, and we've done that for 20 years, and certainly, hopefully, I'm hoping if I'm still doing this, a few years down the road, we'll be able to add more and more success stories like the two of you guys. So I appreciate you guys sharing the stories. I really appreciate the information you guys have given us about the collection and the importance of supplementation and how people can use it, how people can better their own lives and careers as a form of supplementation. So before we go, any shout outs that you guys have, any whether it be people in the business, anybody in your life. This podcast is about the collection, but it's also about John Parke and Will Baumhofer. I know you guys have mentioned some names along the way, but before we finish, any shout outs before we go? What you got, John?
Go ahead, Will.
So again, I'm gonna hate to hear this phone call and the ego that he's gonna have with this, but Dale Nelson's my guy. Shout out him. I was at the Palmetto games, heard something really cool. Y'all named an award after someone who had a big role in my life, Jeff Young. For those of you young guys that don't know him, he was the man. He did more good in the game of baseball in the state of South Carolina than I think just about anybody. I know his family well, and they're doing great. It was unfortunate his passing, but he's still playing such a big role in looking over us. And shout out, my guy Mike DeSario at the Hit House. He's turning it around up there. It's a great facility. If you guys in the Upstate need somewhere to hit, I think between them and at West End, we have some great spots that you can go in and get better. And then just to the College of Charleston staff as a whole, Chad Holbrook, Adam Brown, Coach Dorton, giving me an opportunity to do what I love for a couple more years. But other than that, I think that covers my bases.
Yeah, I mean, It's good. I think a big one for me too is Jason Burke. For those who don't know him, former pitching coach at Wofford, head coach at Lander, now the scout for the National, helped me throughout. Yeah, hell, he recruited me at Wofford, and then now he's helped me through pro ball, and then now he's still helping me. He was great, and like Will said, I think Coach Holbrook. I mean, ironically, both of us played under Coach Holbrook. Coach Holbrook recruited me at South Carolina, and then Will at College Charleston, and he was great throughout my career. Helped me a lot, helped me get drafted. I know he helped Will a ton. He was a phenomenal coach, and still is, obviously, but. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in my life that we could put things on and say things about. But those two, Barry Mabry's a big one as well. Love me some Barry. But yeah, anybody else I'm forgetting, I feel like I'm at the Emmys right now. Sorry for those I'm forgetting, but it's like, you know who you are. And I guess, the one I will say is Carson. I think Carson challenged me. To watch a kid like that do what he was doing at such a young age, it challenged me to be better for him, which is kind of the point of the collection, and is Diamond Process being a partner as well, is like challenge each other. Like, find a way to get better, create your own environment. Like Carson and I challenged each other, especially when he got older, and I still throw harder than him, and I'm still better than him, and all the things. But find that environment within yourself. So just people like that.
Good stuff. Well, I appreciate all the information. Appreciate you guys being able to build your schedules around being able to get together with us on the Bullpen Show today. Really, really good stuff. And for those that are listening, the collection, they're not selling you a bill of goods. They're really, really trying to give you an opportunity, I guess, expose you to something that can better your lifestyle. It certainly has for me and my wife and my family. And as for anything else that I endorse, it's got to be something I completely believe in. I believe in you too at piloting the ship for the collection. I believe in the product itself. And we appreciate you guys coming on, not only to talk about it, but being one of our partners going forward. So those that are listening, obviously, their stuff is going to be on our website. It won't be hard to find, and we'll be able to point you to through social media, all the different things that'll help you in your life, whether it be a young player who's up and coming, a guy who's already established, or maybe a parent of one of those folks, or even a grandparent of a ball player. They've got something for you, and we certainly endorse it. It's good, and that's why we did this and felt like it was very important to cram a lot of information down your throat today on the Bullpen Show. So for Will Baumhofer, John Parke, I'm Austin Alexander. Please stay tuned to everything we've got on the website, all of our fall league action, the border battles around the corner, thediamondprospects.com. Lots of information. We don't rest. It's not November, December yet, so plenty of baseball to come and around the corner. Hopefully we'll see you out at the ballpark real soon. Again, for Will Baumhofer, John Parke, I'm Austin Alexander signing off. We'll see you next time on the Bullpen Show.